Hello and welcome to Shitpost, a memoir. If you're listening to the album, this is the end. There is no more funnies beyond this point. This track is purely a bonus feature behind the scenes. A look into what it was like to make these albums, and also really just what it's like to make a shitpost album. So starting with Shitpost 1, what a magical time. This was right when the pandemic was starting, and this whole bit started with like us making fun of what if Elijah like slapped his thigh and made it like an audio recording, and then we made it like some 8D experience, which is why on the third album one of the remixes is the 8D audio experience. But Shitpost album 1 was a lot of fun. I don't really recall any problems making it. It went all smoothly. We just kind of came up with the idea of like, okay, what if we make some goofy tracks? What if we turn it into an album? And then we just kind of did it, right? We just kind of set like a semi-concrete deadline. If I'm remembering correctly, I kind of pestered people a little bit, but not a lot, because everybody was kind of excited to actually make this project. And then we put it out. And I think it was great at the time because it was a fun, creative project that all of us could do in our own homes that would still become a big group project. So yeah, Shitpost album 1, I think, was quite magical, right? I think it was a great experience to make, and I think the product was great in the end. Shitpost album 2, as the name suggests, was quite the shit show. So we worked on this album off and on for multiple years. Right, we came up with the idea of a sequel right after the first one, of course, and it just kind of kept falling apart. People kept losing interest. Nobody would really sit down and actually record anything. And I think a lot of that has to do with us just growing up and changing, becoming adults, really. It even got to the point where we turned it into like a 48-hour project just to try to capture, I don't know, some like small burst of energy from people, but even then that didn't really work. Only a couple people submitted when we did that. So eventually I just set a deadline. I was like, look, we're going to put the album out on this day, and I need your shit by this day. Make something. And then most people did, but there was still a good handful of people who didn't. Just kind of at the last minute, they were like, no, I don't feel it. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine. I don't care. I kind of just want this project to be done and over with at this point. Which I guess isn't always the mentality you want to have when you're making a creative project, but trust me, when you've been sitting on this idea for like 2 or 3 years, it's good to just get it out and just be done with it. That way you can move your brain power into something else, something that's far more creative and fun. And then right at the end of Shitpost 2, while I was editing everything together, I came up with the idea for Shitpost 3, which is, again, its namesake, a bonus album. And the idea was that we would take a couple bonus tracks that I had made and I think Austin had made, and then we would make some remixes and we would kind of just compile it into a little mini album. But I figured, why not give people a bit of a second chance to put something out if they missed putting anything out on Shitpost 2. And with Shitpost 2 coming out, I figured that would give everybody kind of a like a little burst of excitement about the project again, because it's like, oh yeah, all this shit's funny. Yeah, I get why we do this now. So I opened submissions for Shitpost 3 as well, and I told everybody like right after 2, hey, we're doing a third one. I know, it's crazy. And a few people submitted. A couple, I think Austin submitted a couple more, and I made another 1 or 2, and then it turned into a couple other people I reached out to who didn't make anything for 2. And they made stuff for this one. So, like a lot of people made stuff for 3 as well, and I was kind of surprised. I think 3 actually has more songs than 2. I don't know at the moment, because I'm recording this before I put 3 together. So that is the brief story of Shitpost 1, 2, and 3. Each album had a very different experience with us making it. One was more of like I guess kind of the lightning in a bottle of excitement. People wanting to get stuff done. We actually got stuff done, and we posted the thing, and it was funny. And 2 is still funny. I still enjoy the tracks that we made, and I think it's good enough to stand up next to the original, but it was definitely hard to get people to actually do anything, which is sad, but it is what it is. And then 3 was, a lot of people still didn't necessarily submit things, but like, I never asked them to. I didn't hound anybody for 3. This was a purely optional project that they could take part in. Optional, as if like I force my friends to be in anything. But no, like I wasn't going to hound people about being in this one. I told them once. I reminded them a couple days before the deadline, and that was it. You know, I wasn't down people's throats. And I think 3 is going to turn out pretty good too. You know, obviously it's a bonus album. I don't think it's got as many bangers as the other 2, but I still think it's fun. I still think people will enjoy the songs that are on here. So, yeah, that is what it was like to make all 3 shitpost albums. The big question, you guys might be wondering, is there going to be another one? And the answer is I don't know. I know that's not a satisfying answer, but especially with the, what do we want to call it? The amount of participation in the last 2, and the fact that I really had to hound people to get shit done, probably not. I feel like it's probably at a point where if we do something of this nature again, you know, an album full of tracks that are more shitposts than real actual musical songs, it will probably change. It probably won't be under the shitpost brand. It'll probably be something else. And it'll probably have some kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a challenge to it, or some kind of a theme, you know? So like, we kicked around the idea of doing like a Christmas album, like a mini Christmas album that's got like maybe one actual Christmas song we make, and then like a handful of just shitty, you know, funny audio bits. And we can still open it up to do stuff like that, but I don't think there's going to be a shitpost 4. Maybe, you know, if people come to me and if they're really enthusiastic about it, maybe. But I think this is it. I think this is the end of the shitpost albums. For now. Thank you guys for listening. And that's it. I really don't have anything else to say. Thanks for listening. I'm glad you guys thought this was funny and were willing to sit through this. Oh, one last thing. I guess we will end this the way that it started. I am going to get up out of my chair now and slap my bare thigh and call you pretty. God, you're hot.